Hey there, this is Tim Stevens at Vanderbloemen, and I have the opportunity to work with churches all over the country and pastors all over the country. So it's really cool. A guy I've gotten to know a lot in the last 4 or 5 years and a real whole lot in the last four or
No.
five months is Ray Johnston, and he's joining me from his home in California. I'm in my home in Texas. And Ray he just gets bored, I guess, because he has several gigs going, right? He's the founding pastor, lead pastor at Bayside Church in Northern California. He can tell you a little bit more about them. And then we're working really closely together right now as he's the interim senior pastor at Willow Creek in Chicago. And we just, for both of us, the last airplane we got off of was spending time with Willow and the leaders there just a few days ago in California. So, Ray, I would love to hear you.
First of all, Tim, that was like 6 days ago we got off that plane, and it feels like 6 months ago.
I keep saying, yeah, every day feels like a dog year because so much is happening in the world since the day before. And we got a call yesterday from one of our pastors in Florida, and he said California is probably just a few days ahead of us as far as what's rolling out with stay-in-place orders and things like that. Even since he called, Illinois and New Jersey and Connecticut joined New York and California in that. So he was asking, what are churches in California already doing ahead of time? And I know you're getting questions from all over the state and the country as well. So love to hear kind of the questions you're getting, how you're addressing things, maybe some of the more creative, innovative things you've seen churches do.
You bet. Hey, first of all, greetings to everybody from California. I'm not sure we're farther ahead in anything except the virus. But yeah, we actually have been shut down for a couple of weeks. We were kind of like everybody. We were hoping to get one more weekend, and on Wednesday it looked like and then by Thursday we went, it's game over. And so we've been trying to figure out how to get adequate rolls of this and our church function and make a maximum impact. And here, the first thing we discovered is this: every single person at Bayside has been asking us two questions. Question number one is, what are we doing to help the community? Like, we got this community, we should be a resource. So what are we doing to help the community? Second question they're asking is, what are we doing to help everybody in our church in need? Okay. And now I think that we've sort of identified it as kind of 6 questions, but the first 2 are what they're asking us, and the last 4 are things we're asking so that we stay open, have a maximum impact, healthy staff, all of that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
So where do you want to start?
Let's jump in. I would love to hear kind of the creative things you guys are doing. Rayleigh's a church that has campuses in multiple different cities in Northern California. Yeah. And so each city, I'm sure, is facing things a little bit differently. And then all the churches you're connected to outside of the community as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's fun to be able to talk those of you pastors watching on this thing. Our smallest church is about 150, and our largest church is about 9,000 on weekends, and it totals up to some pretty crazy numbers. So we've had to come up with stuff that worked small and large at the same time. And so Tim, interrupt me whenever you want. I'll rattle off some stuff that we have been doing in California. The first thing we determined is this: we are all going high tech. I mean, services online, all that kind of stuff. So our number one thing is this: let's go high touch first as we go to high tech. And our people have got to feel like we're high touch right now. So the first thing we did is this: we took all of our staff and we accessed all of our small group leaders, and we literally in 1 week are phoning every single person in our church. I mean, we're texting them first, this is so-and-so, I'm going to give you a call. And we literally would say, hey, 2 things. Number 1 is, hi, we love you. And do you have any prayer requests? And my daughter, Leslie, just made 150 calls, and the stories out of this are incredible. We just sort of like one person, the minute she said, I'm from Bayside, the lady just broke into tears and said, I can't believe this. I've been hoping for somebody to talk to and put out. One of our pastors called me yesterday, said, I just got off an hour and 10-minute phone call with one of the guys in our church. And he said, at this rate, I'm going to make 3 a day. And I said, that's not a bad thing. Okay. I mean, these people want to be pastored, and a lot of large church pastors are ranchers. They're not shepherds. And so I think to move into shepherding mode right now is a really big thing. I'm making phone calls. I've been checking in with people. I have people I text. We also have asked all of our small group leaders. We called all them and asked all of them if they would phone everybody in their small group, see what they needed. So number one is just going, what prayer request do you have? Second is there anything you need? So like, for example, I got a phone call yesterday from one of our staff person, and she said they talked to a lady and they said, is there anything you need? And she instantly said, yes, I need 3 things: a bag of potatoes, a loaf of bread, and a gallon of milk.
That's very practical.
She got her address, hung up the phone, went to the store. Miraculously, all 3 things were available in the store. Thank God she didn't ask for toilet paper. And she literally right then went, brought it over and put it on her doorstep, and then called her and said, hey, it's on your doorstep. I wiped it down with some wipes and it's there for you. I thought, man, that meant a ton to that lady. My daughter Leslie was telling me one of the folks she called, the minute she said, hey, I'm from Bayside, I'm just calling to see if there's anything you need. And the guy said, oh, isn't that just like Bayside? And I thought, I don't want to be known as a large church. I don't want to be known as a mega church. I want to be known as a church that cares about people. And we have this window right now so we started by pretty much we're going old school. We are calling everybody. We've discovered if you text first and then call, the odds of them answering it go way up. So the first thing we did was literally phone everybody in the church. Okay. The second thing I'm going to give you 6 things. The second thing we put into place is this: we called every food bank and we said, what do you need? And we have been directing everybody to food banks. And it turns out one of the things they needed were people on site to handle packaging and setting it out front and that sort of thing. So we accessed all the food banks, and we have been filling up food banks with food and then helping them get that stuff delivered. Okay. Third thing we did is this: we have a whole bunch of people at Bayside are going, okay, I live in the suburbs, or, I live in the city, but I have means and I would probably never go to a food bank, but I'm 60. And so I don't really feel comfortable right now walking into a store with a bunch of people. And by the way, California has been like that for at least 2 weeks. I mean, people are like, literally, I'm not leaving the house. And so in the phone calls, and we've also communicated our whole church, if you are 60 or above and you're housebound, or if you're at risk and you're housebound, Safeway, Rayleigh, some of these places, if you call, they will put together a pickup order for you. Okay. And if they don't deliver, and some of them have stopped delivering, if they don't deliver, we will just call us or text us. We will get back to you. We will actually go to the store. When it's ready, we will pick it up and we will bring it to you, and we'll put it on your doorstep. So we have communicated our entire church, man. And by the way, most of the folks in my church that are 60, and we got a ton of them, probably all of us do, they built the church. They paid for the church. They have been faithful to the church. And I think it's time to be faithful to them. The other side comment on this was this: we have been saying to our church for 2 weeks, in Bayside Church, for 25 years, you have been faithful to come to us. Now it's our turn. We are going to be faithful to come to you. We will come to your house and deliver groceries if we need to. We will come to your house and install tech stuff. We will come into your house with weekend services and with other video content. So you all been faithful to us. We're going to be faithful to come to you. Okay.
And have you found that the volunteers that are largely the ones probably installing the tech or delivering the groceries, so far their fear hasn't kind of overcome them to the point where they're like, we really can't do that?
No, it's funny. My doctor gave some really specific instructions. I mean, he's on top of this stuff. We have 2 contacts. We've got physicians at Bayside, and then we've got a guy in Southern California that is basically the Southern California chief of medicine, which means for weeks now, he's in contact with the federal government, with the state government, and with all of the doctors. So he's the best source of information. And all these folks pretty much have said the same thing. If you're not within 6 feet if we won't let anybody deliver if they have any symptoms whatsoever or have had any recently, or if they've been around anybody with symptoms, which means they got to be clean. Okay. Then we pretty much are saying, you've got to be 6 feet away from somebody, and you've got to be 6 feet away, and you can't touch the same surface. Okay. I heard a pastor last weekend telling all of his people to gather in small groups and watch the service. I thought that could sound really tone deaf in another week if we're not careful. So we have actually, one of the things we've done with our small groups is we actually did a video training thing for all of our small group leaders on, like a webinar on how to get your whole small group on Zoom or some other mechanism where you all, if you want to, you can go and have a small group meeting. Like my wife leads a women's Bible study. Last week, they were all on the screen talking over each other and sharing stuff out. One of our folks is a brand new baby. They brought it out, showed everybody. That's a small group. I'm in a ton of groups. I realized the other day, when I'm in most meetings, like Tim, you and I, we're in meetings, we're 15, 20 feet apart at a conference table.
Right.
We're in this conversation, we're like 12 inches apart. Somehow, this stuff has felt way more personal than I thought, and I think everybody else is figuring this out. And so we trained all of our small group leaders to contact their small groups to see if they wanted to watch the service together and talk about it. And our small groups are now starting to meet online. And a lot of our folks, once they figure this out, they are figuring out it's better than they thought.
You mentioned a few minutes ago the helping people with tech. And before we got on the phone, you talked about the church in Santa Rosa, what they were doing.
Yeah.
Unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, the first church that did that, and then it's kind of cool because it's one of our smaller churches, so they tend to be more innovative. It's kind of a cool thing. Our church in Santa Rosa called everybody over 60, literally phoned. They did this about 2 weeks ago. They phoned everybody over 60, and they said, it looks like we're going to be doing service online. Do you know how to connect online? Do you have what it takes to connect online? Do you need any training? And a lot of these folks said, I'd love to come to a service online. I just don't, because pretty much everybody's 60 or over, you're indoors. I mean, you're ordered there. And so what our team over there did, they went and bought a bunch of Rokus and took them to their houses and installed them and showed them how to use it just so these people could come to church. I mean, really cool stuff. Our people have been serving us for a long time. We're kind of trying to flip that some on that.
That's fantastic. Have you heard of, small churches that don't have the tech, they weren't already streaming. Have you heard any stories about what they're doing in order to kind of serve their church, especially with weekend services from week to week?
Oh, it's funny. That's our Santa Rosa church. Same thing. Our church in Davis has about 200 people, and they're pretty much putting their service on. What I realized is we had to convince everybody. Matter of fact, I'll show you what I used. We had to convince everybody that you could shoot a sermon on this. All this is an iPhone. Matter of fact, all of our tech people would say this: if you have an iPhone 10 or above, okay, and the microphone on that is fine. The video quality is actually stunning. Okay, and you can shoot your weekend sermon. And the other tip is this: people don't stay on long. Most people aren't going to sing. So if you've got a couple worship songs of anything, you basically start the service. Hey, we're so glad you're here. Here's my family. I'm in this setting, and we are actually going to show you some worship and just to warm your heart. Okay. And I said, if you're anything like me, you're probably not singing in front of your computer, but if you want to, go ahead. And we've limited that to 2 songs. Okay. And then the message, we are starting to get that down to about 20 or 22 minutes max. What we've discovered, both here, everywhere, and at Willow Creek, that at about the 40-minute mark, boom, they're done. Okay. And most video, anything drops off about 40 minutes. And so we're trying to keep this thing packaged a little better. I usually begin the message by saying, hey, whatever you do, hang on to the end. I'm going to give you updates about what's happening in our church, how our church is impacting the community, what you can do to help us. And so I'm saying something at the start of the message that sort of gets them to stay until the end of the message because they know there's some stuff coming at the end of it. kind of like going to a Marvel movie. Nobody leaves until the credits are done. We're trying to create that sort of thing here. But I tell you what, we bought this, and then I got this little deal here. This is like a $200 Shure microphone. And it comes with a stand for this. The microphone sits on top, and the sound is good. This is good. Just make sure, make sure you're not too shiny on the background. Like I do not have any predetermined. I mean, my fireplace is behind me, our TV. If you want to know what's helping with this thing here, this is like right on it with a pen. I just set it up here to block a little of the glare.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
You know, work. Yeah, if I back up, it's nothing but glare. All you just look at yourself for a couple minutes on an iPhone, set something there, and fundamentally, and then talk like you're talking to one person. You know, Kurt Harnell, one of our pastors, we just kind of go, hey friends, or hey friend, it's really a privilege to be able to join you in your house. Welcome to my house, you know, that sort of thing. And the other thing we did was we did not say we were shutting the church down. We basically said, for a season, out of an abundance of caution to protect everybody, we're doing this. We're going from on-site to online, and we're really glad to be able to do that.
And then talk for a minute, maybe we can close with this question related to you guys are thinking already about, we don't know if it's going to be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, we don't know. But at some point there's an end to this and the church regathers. How are you guys thinking about when the church regathers?
Yeah, let me back up one just for a second. We also did something, and I had no clue, Tim, I had no clue it was going to work. We decided to do a Wednesday night prayer meeting online, sort of the old Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, you know, the old school Baptist prayer meeting. And all we did was we did it on Microsoft Teams, so you can put 6 people on the screen. And there's a record button on that, and you can record it. So on Tuesday, we actually shot a prayer meeting, and it was like stress-free for me. All I did was I had 6 people on there, and I gave everybody a topic to pray about. Okay, so number one was all of the people in America that were affected. We had one of our worship leaders in his living room with a guitar and an iPhone. That was it to close the thing. And so I just welcomed everybody, gave everybody a little bit of an update. And then I said, hey, we're going to pray through 6 things. And Amy Banks, would you start? And she read a verse and prayed. And I said, the next we're going to pray about is we're going to pray for everybody in our community that is over 60, that God would protect them or get them help that they need. Somebody prayed for that. Then we prayed for spiritual strength. We had 6 things we were praying for. And we shot it on Tuesday. Videoed, I think it was about 35, 40 minutes long. We put it online. I had no idea. I literally was like, I don't think anybody's coming to this thing. The guy that puts it online and tracks it, CG Alvarado, calls me and he goes, this is insane. 1,000 people are online, not checking in, like they're coming to the prayer meeting. And then we just put it online afterwards. I think there have been like 18,000 people come to this prayer meeting thing.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
So we're going to do it again. We were shocked. I had no clue that would happen. Now, that also meant the actual prayer meeting itself, 1/20th of our church came to the prayer meeting. So if you do a prayer meeting, you have a church of 100, you expect about 20 people. But if you leave it online, that thing starts to grow. But the folks that were on, they blew it up. I mean, they forwarded it. They went, you should get in on this thing. So we're doing another one, and I'm going to host it. I'm going to have 6 other people with it. And matter of fact, this Wednesday night, Luis Palau's coming on. And I'm just going to interview Luis, say, what would you say to America? And would you pray for America? So, I mean.
That would be fantastic.
Okay, I totally forgot the last.
Yeah.
When we can gather again.
That's right.
Here's what I just said to the staff at Willow. I believe that God's in this. I don't believe God caused it. So you 5-point Calvinists may want to click off right now. I don't believe God causes. I do believe though that God is in this and is present. And our verse of the year at Bayside is Romans 8:28. I mean, all things, and the Greek means all things. And I think God somehow is going to use this. And what I believe is I believe God is pressing the reset button on the American church. I mean, we have been too senior pastor dependent, too superstar pastor dependent. We have been too gathering in a room dependent. And I think this reset button is giving us a chance to think about and relaunch all of our churches in a little bit of a different way. And so, for example, I think if you break into two things, there's attendance and there's engagement. Okay, engagement is people connecting and us engaging with them. And so social media has given us a chance to engage with people in their homes 24/7, where we usually get them for an hour a week at the church. And so right now, attendance has been taken away, and we are all scrambling to get good engagement. And if you're watching and you're going, I'm not a tech person, okay? I am still trying to figure out how to set my VCR clock. So my learning skills on this, the fact that I'm doing with you, Tim, my wife's like, how did he figure that out? I think what's going to happen is this: our engagement is going to go sky high when we get a chance to come back together, and we keep engagement, and then we add back in attendance. It's going to be like hooking a live wires together. And I think we're going to see God working in people 24/7 like we've never seen, with just 1 hour a week too, where people are attending. And so we've started brainstorming already. And Tim, if we want to do another conversation on this, we are starting to brainstorm a 7-week grand opening series for when we get to come back. And we're brainstorming what to preach, how to get to every age group in our community, how to invite every person in our community to this thing. And we're actually thinking this could be the greatest opportunity. I think people are waking up going, man, I need the presence and power of God. I think they're more spiritually needy than they've ever been. When we get we've already started brainstorming, what will a 7-week grand opening, what will the sermon series be? And we've done that kind of stuff before, where we've put a series together and about 500 churches used it. So if anybody's interested in that, Tim, maybe they can keep touch with you, and we'll do another one of these and sort of give all the stuff away for free if we've come up with, or if you've got ideas, let Tim know, and that'll make us better too.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we'll plan another one of these maybe when everyone has an idea of that we're towards the end of this thing, and we're churches are beginning to plan kind of that regathering. Because I think if we can all learn a little bit from each other,
no kidding.
Every church will be better.
You know, we might do some. Maybe we take all of your stuff, all of the stuff from Bayside, all of the stuff from Willow, and let's just team up and create some webinar or something where there could actually be engagement. So
that'd be fantastic. Yeah. Well, Ray, I appreciate your time. I know we're recording this on a Saturday, so I appreciate, although nowadays it doesn't look like any other day. You're at home anyway. So.
No kidding. Gee, we're on Saturday too.
That's right. Well, thank you. And for everyone else on, we're going to send out information on webinars that we're going to be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays in the upcoming weeks. So be sure to stay tuned into that, because we want to get as much helpful information as we can in your hands. Ray, thanks for your time.
Hey, Tim, thank you. Those of you watching this, God bless.